In today's video, I'm going to tell you the criteria for selecting the best snail species for rearing. It's very important that you select best snail species for commercial purpose for our snail production, because if you don't select best snail species for your snail production, it will affect you a lot, because it will affect your production and your profit. So it's very advisable that you select best snail species before you stock your snail farm for production. So what are the criteria to look for? What are the criteria to look for to select parent stock, your breed, the snail for rearing? What are the things to check either the snail you buy is good breed or not? Once that you make sure that you buy Archatina marginata ovum or Archatina marginata suturalis. But what are the criteria to check if that snail species is good for production or not? So the first criteria to check is no damaged shell. So you have to check that all their shell is damaged. So as you can see now, so the shell is intact. So some snail, you will see part of their shell has cut off. So can you see this one now? So everything is intact, their shell is intact, so there is no breaking shell. So some snail, their shell has already cut off like this, big. So that's the first criteria to check if the snail you want to buy, there is no much damage cell on their shell. That's the first criteria. So another criteria to check is that you have to make sure that you have to check if that snail is healthy or not. So as you can see, this snail now, they are so healthy, because when you stock on healthy snail in your farm, they will be dying. So that's another criteria to check. Can you see all this snail? This point of lay, they are so healthy. So that's another criteria to check before you stock your farm as a snail beginners. So another criteria to check whether your snail is good for commercial purpose or not is selection of the snail species or choice. So for you, so you have to make sure that you select the best one. So that is why it's very advisable that you buy your snail from a God-fearing someone, so that it can select the best species, the healthy one for you. So you select the best one. So you have to check whether your snail is good for commercial purpose, for production or not. So another criteria to check to identify the best snail breed is that snail flesh should fill up the shell. So you should check whether the flesh of the snail fill up the shell. As you can see this snail, the flesh also passed the shell. So it means that this snail is good for production. They are so healthy, we feed them enough. So can you see now? So you have to make sure that the flesh also fill up the shell. So that's another criteria to check whether that snail you buy is good for commercial purpose or not. So another criteria is that size control. So they must be of relatively the same size. So when you check all these point of lay, they are almost equal. So they're almost the same size. There are little differences in their sizes. So they almost equal in size. So that's another criteria. So don't just buy when you order for a point of lay and you are see bigger, all those jumbo size among of it, that is not that all those big snail are not good for production. For a beginner to start with big snail for production is not good, so they must be relatively the same size. That's another criteria to check. So another criteria to check whether your snail is good for commercial purpose for production or not is that they must have soft cell. So let me show you. So this is the cell. So they must have soft cell. So to check whether the cell is soft or not, see. So you will have to break it. It's breakable. So when you press the snail shell that is breakable like this, it shows that the snail have tendencies to grow more when you started rearing them. So it have tendencies to grow more. So the snail shell must be soft like this. So that means it have tendencies to grow. So that's another way to identify good breeds for commercial purpose. So another criteria is that they must be shooter. So once the snail reach 4 months, it has reached point of lay size. So they must be shooter. So they must be shooter like this. So they must be shooter like this size. So another criteria to check whether your snail is good for commercial purpose or not. So the size of the snail determine the size or the egg. So the size of the one it is going to hatch. So the size of snail determine the size or the egg, and the size of the egg it is going to hatch. So when your point of lay, so it will affect the egg that they will lay. So the size of the snail will determine the size of the egg. So it's very important that you also stock matured point of lay. So when your point of lay is also big like this one, so the egg they will lay, it will also big. It will also do what? It will also big. So those are the criteria. So those are the another criteria to also check is that they must have an appreciable weight. So when you put them on a scale, so most of them we have almost the same little difference of weight. So at least they should be the range of at least 150 to 200 grams, like 150 upward. So there must be an appreciable weight. So the final one, where to get the good breeds of snail for rearing, is advisable to stock from a snail farmer, practicing snail farmer, to avoid wrong stock, because when you stock wrong breeds for rearing, you have made a great mistake from the onset and it will affect your profitability. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. Also share this content for others to benefit. Welcome to ALUBARIKA Snail Farm, your ARCHATINIDAE-CULTURIST, the snail professor, encyclopedia of snail farmer. Thank you for watching.